scientific research councils and the German Research Foundation, DFG. The aim of this webinar, it is to listen to our group and colleagues from DFG about the opportunities for research, scholarships, and activities. And how can our researchers can get benefit of these opportunities. And very much thankful for Julia and the colleagues for giving us this opportunity to work together to improve the quality of research in our environment. I can see there's many of my colleagues have joined the meeting. I'm looking forward for a very fruitful meeting, discussion, and outcome. So I give the floor to Julia to tell us more about the foundation. Thank you very much. Julia, the floor is for you.
Thank you very much, Professor Fahal. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our information session. Thank you very much, Professor Fahal, for this kind invitation and for the opportunity. We are very delighted to be here. And before I start, I think it would be a good idea that we shortly introduce the DFG colleagues, shortly introduce themselves. So I hand it over to Michaela.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michaela, last name Christa, but please feel free just to call me Michaela. I have been in charge of the TWAS DFG program for Sub-Sahara Africa, which has been in place since 2010. So this year is the first year that we have extended the region to North Africa and the Middle East. So after Julia will have presented her presentation, I'm happy to answer any questions of the experiences we have made with the program in Sub-Saharan Africa. And with that, I turn it over to Ariane. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. My name is Ariane Brake. I'm also working in the team of Julia and Michaela, which is the team for Africa and the Near Middle East at the DFG International Department. I'm responsible for the countries or countries of Africa, but I'm very happy to be Julia.
Thank you. Yeah. My name is Julia Bastong. I also work in DFG's International Affairs Division as a program consultant. I'm mainly responsible for collaborations with the French-speaking countries of Africa. My new task is to administer this pilot call, the TWAS Cooperation Visits Program for certain MENA countries. Okay, now we can start with the presentation. So before I start with the agenda, I just would like to emphasize that this is an information session and it focuses on the before mentioned pilot call and not the other DFG funding programs. DFG offers various funding programs and there are many possibilities of international collaboration, but this is not on today's agenda. So if there is an interest in that, we can offer to hold a separate information session which focuses on DFG's range of funding programs. So what is on our agenda for today? So the first slide, please, Michaela. Thank you. We will start first with a short introduction of the German Research Foundation, in German, the Deutsche Forschungsgemeinschaft, called DFG, and an overview of the German research ecosystem. Then we will continue with opportunities for research collaboration with scientists in Germany. That means why and how DFG supports international collaborations. Before I come to the main part of my presentation, which will be about the pilot call with TWAS. I will introduce our collaboration with TWAS and then explain the new call in detail and the procedures and the deadlines and so on. And after that, you will have the opportunity to ask your questions and to start a discussion. I would kindly ask you to place your questions afterwards, as many questions will certainly be answered during the presentation. Thank you. Next slide, please. Yeah, perfect. So this is an overview of the DFG and the German research ecosystem. So it can be divided into research performing institutions, which you find in dark green, like universities, and intermediaries in brown color, and institutions for advice, evaluation, and decision in orange. So research performing institutions are the universities and non-university institutions. You may have heard about some already, for example, the Max Planck Institutes or Fraunhofer. And the DFG is one of the so-called intermediaries. It's highlighted in yellow, as you can see. Other intermediaries are the DAAD, German Academic Exchange Service, and the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation. So intermediaries do not perform research, but we allocate funds. Additional players in this system are some federal and state government institutes. You see them in red color, and of course the private sector, also in red color. Next slide, please. Now let's take a look at the division of tasks within this public system. So there is institutional funding, for example, for basic equipment, for staff salaries, for research organizations and universities. Organizations which provide institutional funding with a problem-driven research or applied research approach are the Leibniz Institutes, the Helmholtz Institutes, and the Federal Research Institutions. There are also organizations which provide institutional funding with a science-driven or basic research approach, for example, the Max Planck Institutes or the Fraunhofer Institutes, but also the European Organization for Nuclear Research, called CERN, and the European Molecular Biology Laboratory, called the EMBL. So other organizations give project funding for specific fixed-term projects, mostly allocated via special funding programs. The project funding can also be divided into two forms of organizations: the problem-driven or applied research-oriented organizations like the ministerial funding programs or the EU funding programs. And secondly, science-driven research or basic research project funding. The DFG falls under this category. And also the DAAD or the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation, and also the European Research Council. Next slide, please. So who or what exactly is the DFG? The DFG is a central public funding organization for basic research in Germany. It is a self-governing body of science and research and also a member organization. The DFG acts independently as an association under private law, and it has currently 99 member organizations, mostly German universities, but also non-university research institutions, German academies of sciences and humanities, and scientific associations. Next slide, please. So how is the DFG actually funded? The budget in 2022 was 3.9 billion euro in direct research funding. This budget is provided primarily by the federal government with 70.4% and the 16 German states, the Länder, with 28.7%. So per year, the DFG funds around 31,100 projects in all funding programs. Next slide, please. So what is DFG's mission? DFG serves all branches of science and the humanities. The DFG fosters scientific excellence through competition, and it supports international collaboration. And could everyone kindly mute their microphone, please? Thank you. The DFG supports the advancements of early career researchers. One example for international collaboration and supporting early career researchers is this new DFG TWAS call. The DFG promotes gender equality in the German research system, and it advises political decision makers in scientific matters. And also DFG supports transfer of knowledge between science and industry. On the right side, you can see the funding by scientific discipline in the year 2022. So you can see the most funded disciplines were life sciences with almost 38%, of the total funding sum, followed by the natural sciences with almost 23%. And the third strongest discipline here were the engineering sciences with around 20% from DFG's total funding sum. Next slide, please. And how does DFG work? What characterizes the funding decisions? DFG makes around 22,300 funding decisions a year. There are around 30,000 running projects. DFG acts in response mode, and there is a bottom-up choice of research topics. That means researchers approach DFG with their projects and ideas, not the other way around. So DFG has almost no top-down thematic priorities, and there are no political priorities or influence towards the DFG, and there are hardly any deadlines. Everything is in competition. DFG has a science-driven, peer review-based decision-making process, which is in agreement with ethical standards and principles of good scientific practice. Next slide, please. We will now continue with opportunities for research collaboration with scientists in Germany. That means why and how DFG supports international collaborations. Next slide, please. Now let me turn to some aspects on international collaboration, which are important to know. And just to name some reasons why the DFG promotes international collaboration, since we are actually a national funding organization. Because research transcends national boundaries. Because certain topics are best researched within the framework of international collaborative projects, and because it is important to establish connections with countries in the Global South. And in order to further internationalize the German research landscape and to facilitate collaboration between the world's top researchers. Of course, this list is not complete. Next slide, please. In general, DFG allows the integration of international components in all its funding programs. But DFG offers also special programs which enhance international collaboration. Furthermore, there are joint calls with partner organizations, for example, like this call. Usually DFG co-funds individual international collaboration projects based on co-funding agreements. There are following up funding opportunities for international collaboration. There are several programs ranging from short-term measures, for example, mobility measures for a 3-month guest visit, or a 3-year international research project. There are also opportunities to receive co-funding as a cooperation partner with the German scientists if certain conditions are fulfilled. As I've said before, we can offer you to hold a separate information session about various DFG programs if you are interested. Next slide, please. Okay. And before we come to the main part of my presentation, I would like to take another short survey with just one question in order to get to know you a little bit better. So Ariane will share her screen, I think. And the question is, from which country are you dialing in today? So you can scan the QR code with your mobile phone and then type in the answer. Or you can also type the address slido.com and / and then the number. Okay, let's just wait a little bit for some answers. The reason why we are asking the question, yeah, you will find out in a minute. Okay. So I see from Somalia and from Sudan and other countries. Also some people from Egypt. That is very interesting. Okay, maybe just wait one more moment. United Arab Emirates are also there. Okay. Okay. Oh yeah, there's still some answers coming in. Okay. So if it's possible to type your country not in the chat, but in the Slido, then this would be really helpful for us to get an overview. Okay, I see. We have many people from Sudan and from Somalia, other countries, and Egypt, I see. Okay. Ariane, what do you think? The time is enough?
So I think 11 people have participated.
Oh, I cannot. I
I
didn't
don't
hear
know.
what you
11
said.
people have participated. I don't know if you want to go or so far 11 better overview to adjust your information maybe later on. Then it would be useful to have some more people participating.
Okay.
But however you want.
Yeah, your voice was interrupted, so I didn't catch what you just said. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I think we can stop the survey. Okay. Yeah, Ariane, I think we can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for your answers. This is really interesting for us. Yeah, okay. Now I would need the presentation to be opened. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. And the next slide. So the reason why we were asking this question is, yeah, next slide. Yeah. Well, this chart gives you an overview because we have actually at the moment 2 current calls with TWAS. So I hope you do not get confused. So it is the same program, but for different regions. And to give you an overview of the 2 calls, yeah, I've created this chart. So in the first section, you see the TWAS DFG Cooperation Visits Program for Sub-Sahara Africa, and there are some of the countries of the Federation which are eligible to apply, as if you have the nationality of one of those countries, which are the Comoros, Mauritania, Somalia, Sudan, and South Sudan. But in total, for this call, there are all nationalities of Sub-Saharan Africa are eligible to apply. So as we are today talking about the other call, I just quickly mention that there is, yeah, you can see below there is a link where you can apply for this call and also more information on our website for this Sub-Saharan Africa call. So on the right side, nochmal zurück. You see the current call, which we are talking about today. It's also the TWAS DFG Cooperation Visits Program, but it's for certain countries of the MENA region. It's in total 12 countries, which are listed here. And then you apply also on the TWAS website, but it's a different link. So yeah, I hope you do not get confused. And we can, of course, provide you with a presentation if you would like to receive it. It would be a good idea to write an email to the address which Ariane just put in the chat. Yeah, that's wonderful. Okay, next slide, please. But if there's also the possibility that your nationality is neither one of the Sub-Saharan Africa call or the other MENA call, but if you are interested in building a cooperation with researchers in Germany, there is also this program. It's called Initiation of International Collaboration. So this is no call. This is a program where you can apply to any time. And it's for, yeah, no problem. Either it's for 3 months, so it's a short-term measure, and it's for research stays, so at your partner institution in Germany, or your partner from Germany could also visit you for 3 months in your country. And these modules could also be combined. Yeah, and also workshops are possible to apply. The funding is available for 1 year, and it can be applied anytime there are no deadlines. But the the application would be handed in by your German cooperation partner. So you find detailed information about this initiation of international collaboration on the link, which is on the slide. So just that you know, there are also other opportunities. So next slide, please. We would like, I would like now to come to the pilot call, the TWAS DFG Cooperation Visits Program for the MENA countries. Our colleagues from TWAS could not be here today, but they send their regards. So TWAS, it's the World Academy of Sciences for the advancement of science in developing countries. And it is a unit of the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, the UNESCO. We have been working, and TWAS is based in Trieste in Italy. And we have been working together with them since 2010, and it is a very good collaboration. And the joint program, TWAS DFG Cooperation Visits Program for Sub-Saharan Africa, runs outstandingly well. And I would like to show you just quickly some figures. Next slide, please. For the program in Africa, which is in place since 2010. So the call started in 2010 with 10 proposals. And as you can see, the number of proposals in dark blue has been increased almost every year. And for our last call for Sub-Saharan Africa, which was last year, we have received over 200 applications. So compared to only 10 in the first call. So that is really a great development over the last 14 years since the start of the program. So for the 12 selected countries of the MENA region, it is the first call, and we are very excited to see how many applications we will receive, or how many applications TWAS will receive. Next slide. So what is included in this program? The program offers fellowships for early career research from all disciplines, from Algeria, Egypt, Algeria, Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, Libya, Morocco, Oman, Palestine, Syrian Arab Republic, Tunisia, and Yemen. And it is for a 3-month research stay at a German research institution. Our aim is to initiate first contacts between scientists from these countries and Germany, and to develop long-term links. Next slide, please. So what are the eligibility requirements? First, applicants must be a citizen of one of the mentioned countries and also be engaged there in research activity at a university or a research institution. Applicants need to hold a PhD obtained not earlier than 2019. However, for female applicants, the year limit for the PhD can be extended by 2 years per child. So for example, a woman with 1 child, the PhD year would be 2017 or later. This exception for female applicants has a limit of 3 children, which equals a maximum of 6 years. Therefore, the PhD of a female applicant with 3 or more children should not have been obtained before 2013. And applicants must not be currently engaged in any activity in Germany or ongoing research with the host institution there. Next slide, please. Let us have a look at the type and the extent of funding. In case of approval, the fellow will receive the following sums: 2,350 euros per month for accommodation. This includes all living expenses, and it includes also the cost for visa. He or she can furthermore receive up to 1,350 euros for the travel expenses. So that includes flights and all ground transfers like train, bus, etc. And there's the option that the host institute can receive up to 700 euros in order to cover direct project costs, like costs for material, laboratory costs, and other costs which are directly linked to the research stay of their guest. Next slide, please. We will now go through the various steps of the call and the application process. I will explain the individual steps in detail in a moment. So it all starts with the important step of finding a host in Germany. This is a basic requirement if you would like to apply for this program. At the moment, the call is already open, and it is still open until the 5th of June. The next steps after these applications have been submitted would be the review and the decision making. So during this step, there is no action from the applicants required, only patience. Once you have received your award letter, you and your host can start to plan your research stay in Germany. We calculate very roughly that this is going to happen in January or February next year. Yeah, around that time. Next slide, please. Let us start with the first step. This is a crucial point. An official invitation from a German host is essential for the guest research application. A well-written invitation letter from the host in Germany is really helpful. This letter gives the reviewers information on how intensive the contact is, if there is a concrete plan for a research project, and it shows the reviewers the commitment of your host. If you are still looking for a host at a German research institution, or our information system Gerrit might be very helpful for you. No, next slide. There's not one remark I would like to make, just to point out again, you have seen that slide before. So you see, you would have to find your host amongst the research performing institutions here with the dark green research performing institutions like a university or other research organizations. So the DFG cannot be a host. No? Just to make this clear. Next slide, please. Okay, I would shortly like to mention and demonstrate Gerrit, which is, noch nicht. Gerrit stands for German Research Institutions, and it is a joint service of the DFG, the German Rectors Conference, and the German Academic Exchange Service. So this information portal provides an overview of institutes at German universities and non-university research institutions, according to subject-specific geographical and structural criteria. The main benefit of Gerrit is the ability to search for specialized qualified institutes using a very finely structured system. There are more than 650 subjects in total. Information on subject specialization, contact details, and links to the homepage of each institute. And for many universities, Gerrit links to their job portals as well. I would like now shortly demonstrate Gerrit to you. Where's mine? Okay, one moment. Jetzt habe ich es. Okay, Michaela, can you just confirm? Can you see the page? Okay, wonderful. Okay, so I'm here now on the starting page, which is www.gerrit.org. I also put the link in the presentation, or you can also put it in the chat maybe. So the page is available in German and in English. You can select the language at the top right. So I'm switching it to English now. There are two options here, the free text search or the search with the level system, which I rather recommend. So the free text search, you would just type in, if you have already any idea, for example, okay, the subject is biology, and you could type in Munich, but this is, okay, so we found one result, but this is, if you have already not yet an idea where you would like to search, I would recommend the other search system, which is more in detail. Okay. The search in the structured system, you can select a subject area. I select just, for example, mathematics, natural sciences, and you can see there are 6,806 results, so quite a lot. And you click on the plus, and then you have more filters. You always find the results found in brackets behind. So then you can select, for example, chemistry. There are still over 1,000 results. And there are many subgroups of chemistry. I select organic, I select engineering chemistry, and with 93 results. So further down, so on the right side, there are now all 93 results. Further down, you could also type in the federal state or town. I would do, yeah, if you have already an idea where to look. And on the right side, there are all results for engineering chemistry in Germany. There is also a map view on the top right. And you could also search by map for specific areas. I go back to the list view. Yeah, and then you can have a look at the different institutes. For example, Paderborn University has 3 results. I'm looking now for KIT in Karlsruhe. Yeah, for this one here, KIT in Karlsruhe, just as an example. Again, the number, yeah, moment. I choose the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, KIT, with 3 results for engineering chemistry. And I choose now the Institute for Technical Chemistry, just for example. I click on it, and then you find the details. You find the address, and you find a map. Sometimes there are even job opportunities there. And the most important, at the top left is the website. So if you click go to website, you are directly on the website of the institute. It's usually in German, but you can switch it to English. And then you find all the information there, very important information about the institute, about contact persons, and how to get in touch with them. Exactly. So that was just a very short demonstration of this really helpful system. Okay, I would now like to start the presentation again, if it's possible. Thank you, Michaela. So we come now to the next step. Noch nicht. Yeah, perfect. Next slide. Yeah, perfect. The next step would be the submittance of the application. So please be aware that you submit your application directly to TWAS on the TWAS website. You find a link to the website on this slide. As I said before, we will be happy to share this presentation. And the call is already open, and it's still open until the 5th of June. Next slide, please. Now we come to the review and funding decision. Both TWAS and DFG find reviewers to cover all research areas. There is a joint review meeting with TWAS, DFG, and all the reviewers. After the funding decisions are made, TWAS sends out award letters to the awardees, and the DFG sends out the Bewilligungen, also award letters, to the host and the host institute in Germany. And both letters are sent out at the same time. You can then plan your research stay in Germany together with your host. This will be approximately January or February next year, if everything goes according to plan. And you have to carry out your research stay within 1 year, starting from the date of your approval letter. Next slide, please. Okay. I would like to point out some more information system. I have already introduced you to Gerrit. More information about DFG is available on our website, which is also available in English. And then there is the funding atlas, which provides key data on publicly funded research in Germany and GEPRIS. GEPRIS is an online database which provides a comprehensive overview of all DFG funded projects. So GEPRIS lists projects from all programs since the beginning of the 2000s. Next slide, please. And here you can find the contact details of the persons who are responsible for this TWAS DFG Cooperation Visits Program. So in the DFG's office located in Bonn, in Germany, it would be me responsible for the MENA program, and my dear colleague Michaela Christan, she is responsible for the Sub-Sahara Africa call. And our colleague from TWAS is responsible for both calls, would be Fabrizia Niscio. You also find her contact details here, and she will be happy to answer your questions as well. Next slide, please. Yeah, okay. So thank you so much for your attention. Next slide, please. Echt? Ah, yeah, okay. So please feel free to ask any questions, either by putting them in the chat, or of course, you could also raise your hand directly. So the floor is yours now. Thank you very much.
Maybe I can already step in because there were some
Of course.
questions in the chat already. So the first one was by Dr. Hiba Mohammed, and he was asking if we can apply if we are expats residing and working in a different country.
Michaela, would you like to answer that one?
Ariane, since I couldn't follow the chat till now, meaning there are maybe it helps if I know the countries in question.
Maybe
So,
Dr. Hiba, you want to ask the question yourself, unmute yourself, and then ask your questions.
Thank you so much for the opportunity and thank you for the presentation. The thing is, I'm an expat and I'm working outside my country. I'm Sudanese and I'm currently doing my PhD, expecting to graduate within the next year, 2025. So I'm inquiring if I'm eligible to receive the fellowship for part of my PhD study or a different project. No.
no, sorry, you
And,
have to have 100% completed your PhD before you can apply.
So
But
this
there's
is
a
only
call
for-
usually every year. So next year when it comes up, I don't know if you might be finished with your PhD, then you may apply.
I see. Fair enough. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then there was a rather technical question. How would you share the presentation?
Yeah, if you don't mind putting your email address in the chat. And then I'm gonna also ask Professor Fahal if we can maybe save the chat, and then we will email the presentation to everyone who put in their email address in the chat for the presentation.
Yeah, we can do that. No problem.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
I think we lost our host ability. So can you give us the host again? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry for that.
That's all right. Sergi is now taking care of us. So can you give us a host privilege again?
I don't have the possibility. Julia or Ariane, do you have the possibility to make them host again?
Sergi
Wait.
is now she's a host.
Who is the host right now? Sorry.
Sergi? Yeah. Oh, give us back. Give us back. Hello, Sergi. Now you are host. Give us the privilege to be host to FASRC. Give it to FASRC.
Yeah.
Pass it.
Please, I don't get you well.
And now you are the host of this meeting.
Yes,
All
I
right?
understand. But how do I do that?
No, you can't. Sergis is the only one who can do it because he's the host right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Just wait.
Click in the participant.
Okay, then.
So while we wait for Sergis to return the host to FASRC, are there any more questions that I can answer? I see AMR
so
has a
there
hand
are
up.
more questions in the chat.
Yeah, I haven't been able to see the chat since I was sharing the presentation. So Ariane, do you want to maybe tell me the most urgent one before we go to hands?
More questions. Yes, so there are plenty of questions in the chat actually.
Yeah,
so the first one was from Marwa. Experience can be in form of courses? Question mark.
Excuse me, Sergey, can you leave the meeting and then log in again, please, so we can gain our privilege.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Sergey. Just leave the meeting and then log again.
Okay, FRC is host again. You should have your controls back.
Yeah, now we have control. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, Ariane, would you like to tell me the next question?
Everything is okay now. Now I'm back as a host.
Ariane, if you don't mind prioritizing the question and tell me which one is next. I don't know if Ariane can hear me. Ariane, can you hear me? No, apparently not. So I'm just gonna go to the top. I'm able to do the chat now. Hold on, there are several countries. Egypt, thank you. Okay, I see the links.
Also schreibt's in Skype.
Oh, okay, hold on. I think we have bad connection problems here.
So one question was experience in the form of courses. I'm not sure if I understand that right. Experience.
Okay, since this is not working really well, I'm gonna go and take the hands. So just raise your virtual hand and I'm gonna answer them. So I'm gonna go to Mohammed and I only can see 8 Ahmed right now. So please go ahead with your question.
Yes, hello everybody. Thank you so much. I'm Mohammed Hamid from University of Kurdistan, Sudan. Thank you very much for the invitation. My question is any possibility for staff exchange under the sub-Saharan African under this project or program?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you very well. I caught that you're from Sudan and then come again with your question, please.
Well, there is possibility to support staff exchange.
Staff exchange.
Staff exchange for the sub-Saharan Africa.
No, so how both programs work, the MENA call and the Sub-Saharan Africa call, is that one scientist can come for 3 months on a research visit to Germany. So that scientist, if you're interested, you could apply on the website. And first you have to find a German host that is willing to work with you for 3 months in Germany. And then with the invitation letter of the German host, you apply on the TWAS website to be accepted. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I have experience with German professor. I already did my PhD in Technical University of Dresden. Then I may approach one of my professors there.
Verstehst du ihn? Sorry, the connection is not really good. Can you speak up maybe a little and repeat your question one more time?
Okay, then I have to reach one of professors from TU Dresden, Technische Universität Dresden.
Maybe you could write it in the chat again, because for us it's very hard to understand your question. Sorry. But if you could type it in the chat again, and we will be happy to answer it. So I found another question. If I got my PhD 2017 and I have 2 kids, therefore am I eligible? I'm from Egypt. So from Egypt, yes, you are eligible, and yes, you would be eligible. So yes, you have female researchers with children. You can have obtained your doctorate earlier, so you have an extension of 2 years per child. And the maximum would be 6 years, 2013. So if you got it 2017, that's perfect. Yes, you would be eligible. Yes. So I do not see.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
yes, a little bit.
The connection is not good, but go ahead, Ariane.
I've written the question in our chat at Skype. So they're all the questions that you should find also in the Zoom chat. I've put them in a chat in
Okay,
order,
is there a way to
so you can go through them.
Okay, so I start with the first one. Is there a way to decrease eligibility for females earlier than 2013? No. So usually you only have your PhD cannot be older than 5 years. So the cutoff date would be 2019. So if you're a male research scientist and you received your PhD before 2019, you're not eligible. Now there's an exception for female researchers with children. So for each child, you get an additional 2 years. So let's say you have 3 children, you would deduct 2019 minus 6. And so anything, if you received your PhD before 2013, you're not eligible anymore, because we already gave an exception for 2 years for each kids, total 6 years. And so if it's before 2013, you're not eligible. Okay, I'm going to read the next text I have here. For eligibility, it is mentioned that applicants with an established collaboration with the intended host are not eligible. Examples of established collaborations include one common publication with the host professor, a previous visit to the host laboratory, interactions between applicant and supervisor as a result of meeting at a conference. The host professor was previously the applicant's master's or PhD supervisor. This is a restriction for people who have previously published with the journal. Tell us more about experience needed. Experience needed. I'm not sure about the question. Tell us more about experience needed. Okay, I'm just gonna read. I'm a I hold my master's. Am I eligible only for PhD holders? No, it's you have to have your PhD 100% completed. Otherwise, you're not eligible for the call. Both of them, MENA and Sub-Saharan Africa. You have to have your PhD completed before you can apply. Okay, I'm just gonna go backwards in the chat. The question about tell us more about experience needed. Unfortunately, you have to have your PhD. That's the main requirement, and you have to find a German host that is willing to take you on for 3 months. And then you have to follow the website with all the other requirements. Okay, let's try again the raising hand feature. So if you don't mind, raise your hand if you have another question. I'm sure there were tons of them in the chat. It was just I couldn't see them earlier when I was sharing the presentation. Or Ayana, go ahead.
I think we've answered all the questions in the chat.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're up to date now. Now the new one.
Okay. So everybody has shared their email address in the chat who wants a presentation. Everybody has received all their links. Okay, there's another question from female, from Abdallah Sami. What about eligibility criteria if the applicant got a PhD since 2016 and have 2 kids? So you take 2019, and for each kid you subtract 2 years, so a total of 4 years. So 2019 minus 4 would put you to 2015. So you said you received your PhD in 2016, you're fine. So you are eligible to apply. I know it's a little tricky to understand how it's calculated, but usually your PhD cannot be older than 2019. Unless you have kids, then you get extra 2 years for each kid. Okay, so then another question is the call will be every year and when usually start, which months? So that's different every year. It depends since we're working with two partner organizations, with TWAS, the World Academy of Sciences in Italy, and the DFG in Germany, it all depends when we were able to reach all the reviewers and when they have been able to review all the applications. It also depends on the amount of applications we get. Obviously, it makes a difference if we receive 50, 100, 150, 200, 3 applications. Of course, the more applications we receive, the longer the review will take. So it's unfortunately, it's different every year, but we will be sure for the next call, if this pilot call goes well, we have enough qualified applicants, we will repeat the call next year. And again, I'm sure the Federation will send out information when the next call will start. And I saw a hand which went away again. So I don't know if the person who just had his or her hand up wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, I have a
think
question.
he or
Sergey from
she
Cameroon.
left.
Okay, Sergey,
from
sorry, you had a question?
Yeah, my question is about, it is mentioned in a eligibility criteria that having publication with a host in Germany is ineligible. I don't
Schon eine
understand
gemeinsame
why.
Publikation hatte.
If you already worked with your host professor together, like if you had a publication,
Together.
an example of a joint work would be a publication. So if you
Yes.
already have a publication with a German host, you do not qualify for this program because this program is for new collaborations. So if you have already worked together, there are other programs you can apply for, and we're happy to have another session on the additional programs that you can apply for. This particular call, this pilot call, is for initiation of contact. So it's only with German professors or German PhD, with German host organizations that you have not worked together beforehand. We do have other programs where you can apply with your German host for funding if you have worked together, but it's a different funding tool.
Yes, because let me be clear about my concern. If I have worked maybe previously in a project on mathematics, and now I will have a project on chemistry, am I eligible to work?
If you mean the same host or a different host?
The same host.
No, this is for new relationships. So if you had previously worked with this professor, there are other funding tools you can apply for. For example, the individual research grant, you can apply for that. You can apply for another tool called initiation of collaboration. You can apply for that. And Julia, do you know which slides, the number of the slides? I can share those again.
Yes. Concern in the same line. If in the same institution, I interact with a new professor, am I eligible?
Yes, if it's a different professor, then you're eligible.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and I don't know, I could try to share, I'm trying to share the slide you said, or slide 16. Okay. Hold on, it's loading. I'm going to go back to slide 16, and there it shows the links. Okay, here. And so, for example, this is an initiation of international collaboration. With that, you can apply for that one, and both partners can visit each other. So the African partner can travel to Germany, and the German partner can travel to Africa on that one. And was there also one for Sachbeihilfe? Was that in the slides too?
No. This is not in the slides. This is the individual research grant for research projects, more longer term projects, so up to 3 years. But I could also send you information if you like about this or we can put the link in the chat. Maybe we can do that. Just a second. Yes. So this would be the individual research grant. So the person in the German research system would hand in the proposal, and you would be the cooperation partner. And there are various modules which can be funded, like personnel, materials, but also workshops, etc. Sachbeihilfe. So this is our most common funding program, actually, the individual research grant. So 1 second.
And there was a person, I think, starting with A earlier, having her hand up, then the hand left, then the hand came back. Okay, next question in the chat, please. Can you clarify again that the applicant should be one of the eligible country, but not necessarily resident? Yes. So I am gonna take as an example somebody from Sudan. So that was the call for Sub-Saharan Africa. Sudan is listed up Sub-Saharan Africa. So your citizenship has to be from one of the countries from the call, e.g. Sudan, and you also have to work in one of the countries. So it really depends on the mix of, if your citizenship and where you work are different countries, it depends on which countries. As long as the countries are listed in the call, you're eligible to apply. If your countries are not listed in the Sub-Saharan and in the MENA call, you can still apply. Well, your German host with you together can apply for the research grant that Julia just spoke about. So there are different funding tools, doesn't matter which country, but for the 2 calls that we were advertising right now, the one for Sub-Saharan Africa and for MENA, you need to be working and have citizenship from those countries listed. Was that clear? Okay, I'm going to go to the next one. I'm professional doctorate in clinical pharmacy student. Now we complete our training and course 4 years program, remaining research thesis in Sudanese medical specialization board. Is it possible to complete it, be eligible for the program since the war interrupt a program? No, unfortunately, I'm feeling horrible, all the circumstances in the different countries, but as you know, Africa has around 55 countries and there's a lot of conflict in different countries. So unfortunately, we're not at liberty to take that in consideration. So if you haven't finished your PhD, doesn't matter for which reasons, it might be war, which, I'm very sorry you have to go through this, but unfortunately you have to have your PhD completed in order to be eligible for the programs.
Okay.
Okay, the next question is, please, what do you have for master holder in epidemiology? Unfortunately, our organization, the DFG, which is the German Research Foundation, our funding does not start until you have finished your PhD. So on the chart that Julia showed earlier, for example, the DAAD, it's another German funding organization. They fund people who don't have their PhD yet. So for example, if you hold a master's, you can apply with them. So I would recommend that you Google DAAD. They also fund on the master level. And my colleague already put it in the chat, their link to them.
Hat Ariane das schon?
Ariane
Schnell,
posted
okay.
it. Thank you, Ariane.
Good. Okay.
Okay, I'm very sorry that I couldn't follow the chat the whole time. The technology at the beginning didn't work that Julia could share the presentation, so I shared it and then I couldn't see the chat. So right now is your opportunity. Let me see, we still have 38 people on the call, so please feel free to raise your hand, your virtual hand, or write in the chat. I can see the chat now and we try to get your question answered.
Ja,
Okay, if not, then I turn it over back to Professor Fahal.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That was really, really very grateful, very informative sessions, and we learned a lot about the DFG. We know who are eligible and how can we apply for them. We need to go to your website and to look in detail about the detailed information about the different opportunities. But you can see now from this presentation that there's a lot of opportunities for funding research and funding training, scholarships, and visiting opportunities. We're very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. And may I ask Ariane, were you able to save the chat, or Professor Fahal, were you able to save the chat so that we can answer all the people that have posted their email addresses and would like to get the presentation? Do we know if we have that file?
Yeah, we can save this chat, and we can save. We can do that.
And you can send it to us. And
Hello, I am Walid. I'm administrator for this meeting.
so I don't hear Professor Fahal. I tried to save the chat, but
Yeah, there's usually, I don't think as host we can. I think only the host can save the chat.
Pardon.
So
Okay.
again, for all who still have questions, in case you don't hear from us, in case technology did not work out, please write to TWAS minus DFG minus program at dfg.de, and we can get back to you. So maybe for now, if nothing else works, this is the most important email address. Again, write to TWAS minus DFG minus program at dfg.de if you have further questions, and we're happy to get back to you. And we're also going to try to save the chat, but it's open right now if we can. And yes, we're looking forward for your proposals and applications.
So Professor Fahal, can you hear us? Are you still with us?
Yeah, yeah.
Not sure.
We have an internet problem, but now we can resume
Okay,
the
wonderful
connection. Yep.
So thank you very much again for the opportunity to host this session. And thank you to all participants for your interest and for your questions. This was also very interesting for us to learn more about you. And we are looking very much forward to receiving your questions and also your proposals to us. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you very much for this information. And thank you for the participants who made some time available for us to meet together and to learn more about your patient. We're looking for fruitful, useful collaboration, and we hope that will be the start of a long-standing collaboration and working together. Thank you very much, and we're looking forward for another meeting so we can meet again and we can have more information about the foundation and about the opportunities for research. We had recorded the meeting and we can send you the link for the meeting and put it in for the people there.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Muhammad, Samira, Ahmed.
Thanks so much, bro.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Yes. You leave. That's right.